The Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Paterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
But I'm also going to move on to our finalists. We also have Donna Prinzmetal. She is a poet, psychotherapist, and teacher. Her poems have appeared widely in journals, including Prairie Schooner, the Comstock Review, the Journal, and New Ohio Review. Her first book, Snow White, When No One Was Looking, was composed of a series of persona poems and was published with CW Books in 2014. In 2020, she was awarded the 2020 Lois Cranston Prize from Calyx Journal for her poem, Your Body, Still Your Body. In June 2024, her new full-length collection, Each Unkept Secret, was published by MoonPath Press. The book, a finalist for the Sally Albiso Award, focuses on family, both family of origin and her marriage and children, and explores relationships with both the living and the dead. Donna has taught poetry and creative writing for more than 30 years to adults and children.
Hi. Hard act to follow, you guys. Thank you so much I'm so happy to be here. The first poem I'm going to read is the first poem in the book, and then I'm going to kind of hop around. This is called At the Mahogany Table. My mother fingers the silver bell, her pale skin marked with brown spots. My hand looks small next to hers. Everyone is talking at once. On my plate, the pink roast beef drowns in gravy. A half-eaten popover has melted the round scoop of butter. Mother smells of replique and cigarettes. I can't stop looking at the yellow and brown cityscape, my father's painting. On the wall, tall geometric shapes, its oil smell. The dining room echoes with voices, 645 Comstock in spring, the end of another school year, almost. My sister Jan laughs too loud. Debbie hasn't changed her name yet. Dad is at the other end, his voice so deep, it rumbles under my chair. You need to pay attention to the details, he says. They are talking about Debbie's valedictorian speech. It is 1967. My white cardigan with the tiny fake pearl buttons is too warm. I'm afraid I'll get butter on the sleeves, so I take it off. My hair is short and still gold, but it's growing out and tickles my ears. I'm so used to this cacophony, everyone talking at once. When a new voice, higher than I expect, rises with a kind of ping. What about starting with a list? All those science projects. I say, out loud it seems, I don't even believe it's me. I am thinking of ideas for her speech, but nobody pays attention except my oldest sister, Karen. Her brown eyes meet my blue ones. Wait, she says in a voice of rare authority. Donna said something. She emphasizes my name, though she couldn't have heard exactly what I said. There is a break in the clink of silver knives on white wedgewood, and the voices have all stopped. There could be a floodlight bathing me in a waterfall of white. I feel laid bare, naked, cold. Goose flesh rises on my arms as everyone begins to clap. It is the first time I have spoken at the dinner table, ever. I am 11 years old. I want to hide in the kitchen at the little kids' table. I want to pick up the gravy boat and dive into it. Everyone is looking at me. I slip down in the stiff-backed dining room chair. My blue shift clings to my sticky thighs. I have spoken. They know I can speak. There's no going back now. I used to give an assignment for people to write about, and I told them they didn't need to know anything. They could have been adopted. It didn't matter, to write about their birth or when their parents met, and that they could make things up. This isn't made up, but so I decided I should do it since I was assigning it. Lens. I am not born yet, not even anticipated. Before the White House on Comstock Avenue, up the sprawling driveway, the sweet lavender wisteria, the blacktop where we tried to fry an egg. There is a party, elegant summer dresses. She laughs and covers the excruciating gap between her front teeth. He looks handsome in a dark suit. She is there with a heart surgeon, his brother, before he went crazy. They look at each other across the lighted patio. He asks his brother permission to dance with her in the saucy, jazz-spiked evening, glass of bruised moonlight. She is still thin. Her hair falls in delicate wisps. She dances with Errol Flynn. Yes, really. But all she will talk about the next day is my father. A relief from her cold mother, the crevasse of childhood she clamors to escape. Her bright eyes winking back at Orion. She is 22. He is 36. She has such hopes. And all these years later, if forgiveness is a country, can I speak its language? Is it a place like Chicago or the French Riviera? I visit it frequently, as I visit her persimmon tree and the Chinese elm in front of the house on Comstock, all the years telescoped together. I imagine the two of them in that first dance. I am already arriving, even then. An epithalamion, if anybody doesn't know, is a marriage ode. And this is a Santa Cruz poem, since we have the Santa Cruz Poet Laureate here. This is where I met my husband. Epithalamion on Highway 5 for Steve. Here I am in my car, suddenly missing us, the newborn us, on 3rd Avenue in Santa Cruz, the basement apartment, the young us, sitting on that couch for hours reading Spencer's Epithalamion out loud. That summer listening to Talking Heads on 8-track. That apartment where I could see only a person's feet when they approached. That apartment with its damp smell and tiny closed-in walls. You with so much hair, me with such narrow hips. I was finishing school and thinking about endings and beginnings. But what was I beginning? Did we think we would stay our 20-year-old selves, unchanged and unfinished? My first apartment alone, but not really alone, because you were there often. The too small bed that wasn't really a bed, the sometimes lazy drip of the sink if I didn't turn it just so, the 2-burner stove. I never understood how I could lose something in such a small room. My keys, an avocado, Richard Lattimore's Iliad. I almost lost you that summer. We both knew you'd be leaving. Once I lost a huge spider I wanted you to evacuate, but you never saw it. Like so much else in those days, it disappeared but scared me anyway. The way what's gone and can't be found can be the most terrifying of all. That was the summer you drove your Dodge Coronet to visit your family. You sent funny postcards addressed to your nickname for me. Your driving adventures in Utah and Texas, sleeping in your car. I didn't know if you'd ever come back, and you didn't know either. Today I can see the wind jostling the October red leaves, and a bird, an ordinary gray bird, struggles to stay on course. I see her blown sideways, flapping uselessly, and I think, is this what's happened to us? Is this how we got blown sideways into our 60s? Not even a keepsake from that summer. If I move aside the piles of bills and unfinished projects to find my red copy of Spencer and let my tongue linger on the words as if discovering them for the first time, will you listen? Or am I remembering it wrong? I'm going to read 2 more. Do I have time for 2 more? Yes, you do. Okay. In defense of loneliness, and it's got an epigraph from Adrienne Rich. You're wondering if I'm lonely. Are you asking about this moment when the blue between clouds is so spare I could be imagining it? Not imagining the blue, but the loneliness, the space between what's missing and what's there. Not what's there really, but more the way birch bark separates and peels like sunburned skin. Not new skin. Whoops, I lost my place. Like sunburned skin, and I can focus on the red burn, how it turns white and prickles and blisters on the new bark underneath. Not bark, but skin. Not new skin, but the pain of what's left behind. Sometimes I miss my mother's laugh, and I feel a cavern in the base of my belly. Not just my belly, but everywhere. And it opens inside me, and then, yes, I think I am lonely. So sometimes in the quiet emptiness of early morning, when everyone's asleep, I listen for their breathing. Then I listen for my own. And I am alone, but not lonely. But what about that chasm stretching before me sometimes? Not a cliff's edge, really. More like an eagle whose talons cannot be trusted to hold on to the branch. Not just any branch, but the most important branch. Sometimes I miss my children or my husband, and they are sitting 2 feet away from me, and I am lonelier still. And sometimes I would do anything to speak in that shadow language, fur and bone, wing and feather, that tongue of peeling bark. If we could all just listen when the silence was unbearable. Not quiet, which is different. Quiet, which is full and open and sometimes haunting. If we could bear the silence, though, together, all of us, that would be something, wouldn't it? I do think we really have trouble bearing silence. There's a poet named Brendan Constantine who wrote a poem called Where Do You Get Your Ideas? And I wrote a poem in response to it, which is Where Do Poems Come From? That I'm going to end with. Where do poems come from? Sometimes in dreams, or dangling from the tips of pine needles like dew or tears. A sickle moon perched in my chest when I'm alone and empty-headed. I found my first under a still warm sheet, read another on his thigh, at the point of imprint with mine. I found one on the beach under that 5-tunnel rock there in the sand with all the sculpin and hermit crabs. But the hole bloomed with water before I could read it. I still have the rock. In my vegetable garden once, I collected October ghosts, smashed remains of sungolds, sharp spine of artichoke flowers, one still green brandywine. And there, with the delicate tomatillo skeletons, was a poem. Unwritten, of course, but like the green tomato, I was sure it would ripen. Sometimes a poem lies in wait, coiled and hissing. If it strikes, I can suck the venom from my thumb and hold a pen. I'm certain there is a poem that will answer all my questions. Like a devoted mother who, attentive to signs of distress, carries her glassy-eyed child. This poem carries the exact names of everything. It knows my name, not the one I was given, but the one I was meant to have. Thank you.
What a perfect poem to end on. And I'm just thinking, a poem came to mind when I looked at my printer the other day, and it's at Envy. That's the name of the printer. And I'm like, oh, there I'm off to a poem on envy. So that's fantastic. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Tanya Olson, another finalist who lives in Silver Spring, Maryland. She is the author of Boyishly, Stay and Born Backwards, all out from Yes Yes Books. She has received a Discovery Boston Review Prize and an American Book Award. Born Backwards won the 2025 Golden Crown Literacy Society Award for Poetry and was a finalist for the Lambda Literary Award in Lesbian Poetry. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to read 4 poems from Born Backwards today. And when I was working on this book, I was really interested in recording what it was to live during a time when queer meant outside the law. So in the period when there was, no marriage or joining the military, and people lost children and jobs and housing. And I didn't want this book to be a nostalgia for some great again time. And I didn't want it to be a progress narrative, like things were bad and now they're fixed. But I was really interested in writing down the ways that we built joy and resistance, because I thought that as the world changed, if we didn't, these methods were going to get lost. And I had this sense that we might need them again. And so I'd like to welcome you to 2026 when these things are still necessary. So I'm going to read to you a little thread of poems for the pieces. And the thing that one of the threads that runs through the book is, since queer kids don't learn about queer community from their parents usually, these are a series of poems about how we use available culture of TV and music to find ourselves and each other. And all of these poems are written also with my mother in mind. The first poem is called And They Look. And they look alike too, like my mother and I look alike. Every time we see Junior on Hee Haw, she notes he could be family. Big moon face, crinkle eyes, smile. Family is like a string to my mother, every member a knot, connected but apart. In heaven, she says, you will recognize every knot on our string, and they will already know you. One day, my mother declares she wants to be the woman who sings backup and plays tambourine for Culture Club. We have just gotten MTV and still watch it like it is a show. Turn it on at the top of the hour and sit there for 30 minutes as the videos click by. Helen Terry, I discovered decades later, when we have the internet and can wonder about a fact and then find it. My mother, long dead, never searched the internet. My mother never sent an email. Helen Terry, though, is still alive. Helen Terry is the big voice in all the great Culture Club songs. Karma Chameleon, I'll Tumble For You, I Know You Miss Me Blind. Hers is the voice that echoes whatever Boy George sings first. I'm a man without conviction. Hers is the voice that holds up his. Progress is seldom a true story. Step up, slide back. But my friend Clark always likes to point out, you and I could spend whole lunch times arguing over whether Boy George might possibly be gay. We share pronouns at the start of meetings now, but honestly, I do not want to tell you my pronouns. Sirred in line, brothered by security, hey guide at the store. These moments of slippage are pure butch triumph. Between the guess, the confusion, the correction, I feel most seen. I know how to watch MTV now, know how to look up facts, have yet to spend meaningful time with my mother since she died. Spotted her in the highest row of a stadium once. She stood when I stood, sat when I sat. They call my name and she pounds her hands together like she is playing a tambourine. She shows up in my dreams, but we speak of nothing real. I know not of an afterlife or if we are gifted some chance to live again. In this, as in so many things, I am a man who does not know. I have, if you ever want to be really popular with your publisher, you should name 2 entirely different poems that have nothing to do with each other, the same thing. This poem is called Don't Come Home. It's the second Don't Come Home in the book. Don't come home a-drinkin', Miss Loretta sang, with lovin' on your mind. Loretta wrote that song after she and Patsy Cline became friends. Patsy taught Loretta how to move, what to say, what to wear on stage. Taught her that the song, not family, not love, could structure her life. Told her she was the one with the talent in that marriage, and it was time to quit taking guff off a do. No woman knows how to woman until she is taught. No artist is an artist unless she pleases first herself. The friendship between Patsy and Loretta is at the core of Coal Miner's Daughter, the rare movie made about a woman singer. It is the only movie I stop to watch when I find it on TV. A movie that teaches how to be the artist you are meant to be when nobody says be that artist. A movie that shows what making can cost the maker. Sissy Spacek followed Loretta around for a year to get ready for that role. Learned how to sound like her, walk like her, sang with her on stage at the Opry. 2 Lorettas up there, side by side. If you made me do an impersonation of Loretta Lynn right now, I would do, Patsy's always saying, little girl, you've got to run your own life, but my life's running me. Me doing Spacek, doing Loretta, doing Patsy. So many knots in the string. When Loretta had twins, she named one Peggy and one Patsy, one after her sister, one after Klein. When we moved to Georgia, the first friend my mother made was named Peggy, and I learned I should call her Miss Peggy, since she was a grown-up I knew through my parents. Miss Peggy had the slowest, steepest accent ever. Tanya, she would say when I saw her, and my name went tumbling, a rock falling down its own hill. You tell your mama I said hey. One afternoon at the Food Line, I said hello to Miss Peggy in line, only to have her turn around and give me a one-arm squeeze. Hey, sugar, I'm Patsy, not Peggy. Looked the same, laughed the same, talked the same, identical twins, just like in a soap opera. No 2 people were ever more alike. Not Peggy and Patsy Lynn, not Sissy Spacek and Miss Loretta, not me and my mother. Soap operas are the best because every day is a new chapter in the longest story most of us will ever know. Characters might die on a soap, but seldom do they stay dead. Old actors return with some cockamamie explanation for their absence. A new actor steps in, and everyone pretends the character always looked just like that. Miss Loretta died the other day. The Peggys and Patsies are gone too. Beulah and Edna and Edith and Mildred all have moved along, which leaves me, last of the knots, end of the string, and never a stranger to meet. I like reading this little string of poems together, and I think that it always comes out, I always hope that it comes out very clearly in the book how much I loved my mother and I love my father and how grateful I am that they were my parents and how much I love them. I feel like sometimes these poems, especially in isolation, are maybe sound a little more critical than I want, but I always like to make that statement. This is a poem called Faced with Death, My Mother. 1. Faced with death, my mother cried for her own already dead mother. Why won't she help me? My mother knew ghosts, lived with ghosts, talked with ghosts. She has to know I need her now. I know she would come if she could. What use, ghosts? How terrible their absence. 2. My mother had only one semester of college, came home for Christmas, never went back. I liked my roommate, the classes, but every night at supper I thought about Mom, Grandma, Granddad gathered at the table, radio playing, me not there. It made a lump in my throat I simply could never swallow around. 3. My mother, the temper of our family, threatened when your father gets home, but always handled it herself. She was the spanker, yeller, thrower of the two, fly swatter, wooden spoon, whatever was at hand, but the lovingest one, too, hugged, asked, listened, supported, bottomless throughout this life. In class one time, a professor asked us, who here thinks hitting children is wrong? Everyone raised a hand. You may disappoint me, my mother promised, but I will never not love you. 4. My mother spent her childhood alone. It's why I wanted 2 of you. You will always have each other. Only child, she sang to the sheep, taught school to the chickens, lived with her mother and grandparents, father gone before she was born. I saw him once when I was 5, and after, never again. She took his red hair, loved those who loved her, forgot those who did not. The professor asked us who here was spanked as a child, and almost everyone raised their hand again. 5. My mother grew up on a farm, no electricity, outhouse until a teenager, eventually found work in the city, Department of Motor Vehicles, handling forms, sending out licenses. Her claim to fame, processed the paperwork for Muhammad Ali when he changed his name from Cassius Clay. Quit when she married my father, already pregnant with me. I like that I was at the wedding, love that we looked alike, sounded alike, love we came into life alike, both of us born bastard adjacent. Later, she went back to school, cosmetology, practiced on me. Lettuce head, they called me in 4th grade, all curls and springs while she learned to perm. I never minded. She worked tender around my soft spot dent. That year, her hands were always in my hair. 6. My mother believed cards were of the devil. Didn't ban them from the house, but neither were they present. I finally learned hearts, spades, playing softball, to pass the time on long van rides, between games, making bids, counting books. When your grandfather was a boy, he and his brothers were meant to be in the field. Rain was coming, so they hid in the barn. Second hand dealt when lightning struck. The barn burnt down around them. They all escaped, but idle hands, devil's tool. Those boys never played cards again. My mother believed in, saw ghosts, UFOs, heard barks and meows from pets long dead, would talk about it if asked. When I left for college, she hugged me and said, "Don't bring home a black man, don't come home gay." I was never sure if the professor's point was, "And you came out okay," or "Look how much you learned from that experience." 7. My mother was loved, mourned, missed at her funeral, friends, family, colleagues, for her kindness, for her caring. She worked harder than anyone I will ever know, kept house, cooked meals, had a giant garden, canned it, pickled it, put it all up, took vacation days for spring cleaning, would ask about you, your family, listened, followed up, was proud of me, my sister, the family she built, kept together. No one mentioned the office. Everyone talked of her compassion, her heart. 8. My mother read voraciously, loved I read that way too, wanted to know everything I learned at college. "It's called NPR," I explained, scanning the low end of the dial. "They just talk about the news all day long." As someone explained the UN doing or not doing something. "Boutrous, Boutrous, golly," she sang to a calypso beat as we entered the store. Granddaughter of farmers, daughter of a lunch lady, chose my name because she saw Anna Karenina. After she died, I found a notebook. Short stories she wrote while sick. Megan, the central character, who goes to college, writes, travels. What was your wildest dream for yourself? What would you have named me if I was a boy? These and other questions I now only ask her ghost. 9. My mother died at home in bed, a gift of hospice. I think she waited for me to get there. I said what every person says in the ear of the dying. "It's okay. We will be all right." NPR played on the radio. "You can go," I said. At least she was not alone. 10. My mother, the age I am now when she died. I think what it might mean to only have this much. What if this were my full life? Wonder what started what took her. Well water, chemicals in the beauty shop, crop dusters and what they dropped. The electric fence, her favorite game as a child. Grab it, see how long she could hold on. First one hand, then two. Dunked her hands in a bucket of water, put one foot in the bucket of water, then the other. I could take it, she laughed, explaining. I could just hold on and on. Never enough sense to let go. And I'm going to read one more short poem. I want to thank, though, the Poetry Center for honoring Board Backwards, especially among these other poets. And especially I want to say congratulations to Nancy and Joan. They're both such beautiful books. And I want to thank you all for being here today. And this poem is the first Don't Come Home. Don't come home, she said. Don't bring home, she said. To me, she said, who you are is impossible. Words like seeds root in unintended places, corn amid the beans, volunteers, wrong field. In me, the tendril rooted, in me, tendril spread like a bruise. The worst thing she said is not the most important thing about her. Hurt is not what I remember. Instead, I imagine she was trying to say, life is already hard. Why choose something to make it harder? Death is most terrible as the end of a chance to change. Given more time, we could have plowed that moment under, could have planted it again. Come home, she would say. Bring home, she would say. To me, she would say, your life is a bountiful field of possible. To me, there is nothing you cannot do. Thank you.
I'm in awe again. Oh, great voice. Do you sing too? No. Oh. I'm still on Boy George too. I'm bringing back childhood memories. So our next finalist is Jive Poetic, who is a Brooklyn-based poet, DJ, an Emmy-nominated filmmaker, graduate of State University of New York at Buffalo and Pratt Institute. He is the founder of Insurgent Poet Society and co-founder of the Brooklyn Poetry Slam. His honors include the John Morning Award for Art and Service and recognition from the Maya Angelou Book Award and Paterson Poetry Prize. His work has been featured by Lincoln Center and PBS NewsHour and published by the Academy of American Poets and the Poetry Society of America. His 2024 collection, Skip Tracer, is published by Liverwright Norton. He is currently an assistant professor at St. Francis College. Welcome.
All right. How's everybody doing? Good. All right. Thank you for having me. Congratulations to the winners and the finalists. I brought my glasses because I need them now because I'm not 20 anymore and now my eyes don't work. But the problem is because of this, how people play golf and they have multiple golf clubs. I have multiple glasses to see which ones work and which ones room. So let's cross our fingers. I'm feeling all right. All right, so I'm gonna read from Skip Tracer. This is Skip Tracer. It started out as this genealogical research, and the idea was I was gonna trace my grandparents and great-grandparents back as far as I could, and then when I got back as far as I could I got back to my great-great-grandparents, I was gonna trace their siblings around the world, and the goal was to go to 10 countries to meet 10 people who did not know they were related to me. And I made contact in 8, and some of them found out they was black when I showed up, which is not an easy thing to explain at Christmas. It's a great journey. But what happened was it expanded into this investigation of like myself as a person and my ideas of manhood and masculinity and violence and how all these things are formed without you even knowing about the environment. So I'm gonna read a couple pieces from here. And people who know me know that I really like talking about my mother. So I'm gonna read some pieces about my mother first and I'll read some other pieces. Skydive. It is 6 p.m. Water should be running. Plates should be clanking. Silverware should have dropped. The mother in her bedroom knows what this means when her son is this quiet. She hasn't heard any wine glasses break, but she continues reading her textbook. She's a grad student studying psychology. Today will probably find its way into a paper she writes. The only music playing, a song in the boy's head. He tries to ignore it, but the drum loop has his thoughts tied to the beat. A Kangol, Adidas, gold rope chain, replace his glow-in-the-dark GoBot pajamas. He doesn't know his mother peeks to see him bopping to the sink because he is approximately where he is supposed to be. She quietly returns to her studies. Her last look didn't reveal how his good sense had already dried its hands, thrown down the towel, walked towards the front door. She usually catches this earlier, but today she is late to the party. The instrumentation has his mind spitting a beat into his hand. This happens enough for her to look up from her story, look up for her reading and says, "You can rap and beatbox after your work is done." Unfortunately, the music is too loud. He shouts out, her shout-outs are drowned out by the background music. If there was a such thing as the hip-hop Holy Ghost, it has already turned into Biz Markie songs in his head. Instead of washing dishes with his hands, he's making music with his mouth. It is 6:15. The chair slides across the floor, startling the highlighter from the mother's hand. The boy, who went in with good intentions of doing his job, is now headlining a rap concert where he has fallen off the stage during an unscripted dance number. His foot is hooked on the oven handle door because he tried to jump up and land in a handstand. She was right. This was no time for beatboxing. But it was even worse of a time for new b-boy moves. But he was standing on LINOLEUM, and in 1986, those letters spell dance floor. He gathers his feet, but can't collect his words. She doesn't say anything because she knows who her son is. A year ago, he tried to start a cat rehoming business with his friends and ended up in the hospital after being attacked by a pack of stray kittens that they lured into the house. Nobody in the emergency room was surprised. They remembered the rusty nail jammed through his thumb after sword fighting with broomsticks he and his friend found outside. His mother still hasn't said anything. She isn't shaking her head. This will be one of those moments she points to when she says parenting does not come with instructions. In the grand scheme of who her son is, today isn't so bad. This week, he only fell in the kitchen because he thought he was a rap star. Last week, he fell off the concrete porch because he thought he was a stunt car. Yeah, my imagination goes on autopilot sometimes, man, and she had to deal with it. So I thought I was a stunt car, and this is not made up, so I'll do that poem. It's called Inverse. The boy still looks down. New sneakers rebuild his body into Kit, the car from Knight Rider. His heart speeds. From the fuel injection, he kicks his feet against the ground. The sound reassures traction before a 5-foot drop. On-looking church ladies gasp a group prayer for his life. He is still rocking back and forth. Nobody knows in this universe, this is the universe where he lives. Not the church ladies, not the screaming mother, not the life that this will make out of him. He hits the gas. In this timeline, he never gets to buy puppies on his computer. He never gets to see the uncle before he dies. He never gets to forgive the father for mistakes. He never gets to grow to understand. He is still a running engine, where gravity is a DMV worker daring people to get out of line. Luck is security guards, gambling second chances on lunch break. He still takes off. He never survives. A train under the World Trade Center, a landlord who buys arsonists wholesale, a pandemic that makes coffins out of the city. He is still in midair. Folded hands won't save him. In this time and space, today is the day he falls. All right, I'll read a couple about my father. All right. Electric Mayhem. Only some people get that reference. I don't know if people get that reference, man. Electric Mayhem. Superhero pajamas and Mork and Mindy suspenders is how old we is. Muppet Show on television is what time it is. Good sofa by the glass table in the living room is where our mother is. Unhinging the downstairs door is where our father is. Revolver spring ready is where our stepfather is. Neighborhood too scared to do anything is where community is. This is what it is what community says it is. But what is to become of a stepson of a gun, if not adjusted to an estranged broken window by electric mayhem clock? All right, and then I'll do a couple of pieces from that inspired the book. I don't need glasses for those, I can see. All right, I can see. Yeah, when I don't remember to take them off, then I'll look and see how they're part of them, so I gotta do like this all the time and then do like this to read stuff, so I'll take them off. So like I was saying, I was going around the world to meet these family members. The photo album. A museum we search for lives fallen out of touch on the gallery floor, an exhibit we trace against the folklore. We think we know something about this tableau. Pressed between the plastic and the context it falls from, it self-identifies Panama, and it is inscribed to Aunt Betty. Age paints over everything she's seen. She now sees for the first time. Every time she sees it again, the signature claims itself her cousin. I take its word for it. She takes mine but forgets. In Brazil, a woman loses her grandfather. She doesn't know that we found him because we are too far. In the future, social media rabbit holes over the years and distance, we find again the man we could not place at a wedding with his granddaughter. I reach out through a picture. She sees me and reaches back. Thank you. Kingston ends when the roster tells me everything I'm looking for is already looking for me. The van between parishes, a pilgrimage through the archives, I've imagined this landscape, the ackee trees, the breadfruit trees, the family, roots. I never found any living in Jamaica, but today I'm butterfly net determined to capturing a fluttering mythology in Mandeville. I speak birth certificates over the telephone and my voice crawls back to New York. Places its version of Jamaican patois back on the shelf next to the pictures and recipes and other chip statuettes I'm here to reassemble the next day. A computer search surrenders a death certificate with a house. I find a caged-in patient revelation. A woman answers the door, speaks in kaleidoscopes, hands over a swallowtail, points at the sky. It flies. I follow. It becomes a cousin. We meet for the first time. It rains as we hug like a fork in the road, bent back on itself. Oh man, I always forget to tell people, okay, the name of that poem is Lepidopterus, which is the study of butterflies. And the collective noun is kaleidoscope. And the national of Jamaica is the swallowtail. It's pertinent to say before. Okay, all right. The embargo split us before our parents were born on opposite sides of a missile crisis. His grandfather lost their English on the way to Havana. I picked up Spanish, but it falls under the pressure at the table, after the lunch table. He finds a bed in the bottom of a beer bottle, runs from it, back to our family reunion. Our grandparents were cousins, but now they are dead. Conversations that can't be reintroduced in the moment because the translator is in the bathroom, or walking back, or far enough for me to see our native tongues are not indigenous to our bodies. They are proofs of purchase replicating on autopilot. They are auction block fugitives pledging allegiance to the branding iron. They are African voice boxes crushed into blood diamonds, bought and sold on the black market, no matter how far from the plantation. Me and my cousins still ain't free to meet. We can't even speak without a master of both present to translate our trademarks. Thank you. Minor turn of time to make sure I stay on cue with this. So I'll do the poem that inspired that whole series. Rolling ocean, crashed between her toes, sand built the coastline she tight-roped yesterday to her back. Facing tomorrow with the Panamanian sun set in the most black of her mouth, full of clumsy English, rickety on her Spanish tongue, shuffling Caribbean accent marks inconspicuously, she blended in Jamaica, where Cuba gave her the sun she spoke clumsy too in Canada. West Indian camouflaged her Panama, invisible, mistress of the skies, toggling West Indian syntax, translucent at the border. In full masquerade, my grandmothers were dream catchers. Hopscotching countries, jumping identity double dutch, watching greener shades of brown grass darken every time she landed behind a language barrier. She clutched yesterday's tongue under today's image, exercising her phonetics to flip acrobatic English easy for her. Foreign tongue was Spanish in Jamaica, Jamaican in Canada, Canadian in New York, reaching for citizenship, red taped out of range with immigration on her heels until her last breath evaporated above Los Angeles. As black as planned, her maple leaf colored children sifted accent free, obscured behind Jamaica. Panama was blindfolded, monolingual. My tongue now rolls as rickety as her English did 3 countries before. 1 cold shoulder ago, Latin America recognized me no more than Jamaica did. Call me American boy, under breath. Over unbroken speech patterns lost in translation, I felt invisible, while visibly in neither command of enough Spanish nor patois to correct the secrets hiding her inside me, undetectable. Even in death, she lives around the border of my eye, while I, tongues away from the language, then to speaking in New York of my tongue 2 generations away, and I kid you not, I'm in the dark at this dance hall. Multiple Spanish reggae tones mocking the star-spangled portion of my red, black, and green footwork, falling off of every drum beat, chuckled at me, this collage of a woman. Tildes between her locks and patois flowing from Latin roots. When she smiled me still. When she spoke me speechless, and somehow made me homesick for a place I had never been. All right, I'll do this last one. I think I timed it to the number, okay. So the story goes, Eastern Parkway and I agreed to the Caribbean. And we pack a suitcase. From wheels up, expectations mix in and out of certainty, the feeling, a spell cast as the night sky passes its sunset on to Juve morning in Brooklyn. We only get about 48 hours before the concrete is returned to bike riders and joggers, and ice cream trucks are back talking to children. But meanwhile, we are on this beautiful island, melting down to the water droplets and salt crystals on our skin at the same party for weeks. And nobody has slept. Even the customs agent has her costume on a hanger as she stamps my passport. Flags wave in the air. The temperature is carnival and climbing, a humidity thick with calypso that none of us can explain beyond noting ourselves in this moment of free-form rejoice before we are snapped into the memory of an onlooker. We are delivered as masqueraders, surrendering manners to madness. We turn inside out the clothes we did not shed for paint and powder as we watch time drown and wash down the gully, because what is a clock when we have hands that can hold an entire waistline, that too can tick, that too can whine, that too can be a gift given and taken back in the blink of a song we absorb from each other. The heat it takes to know a stranger only by the sweat she left behind. Thank you very much, everybody.
So I'm just thinking about this. I grew up at the Jersey Shore, and every Thursday night we have fireworks, okay? And I charge Jive between, he's the last reader, and we were talking before we got here, and I said, you're the last one. They wanted to know the order, and I said, he's got to pull out that last poem and really kill us, right? You did fireworks. You did that grand finale where I'm like, yeah, that's where it's at. That's the last finale, but they shoot off all those fireworks at once. So that was fantastic. Congratulations to all the winners and finalists. I could see why Maria picked your work. Just great.